Now, Eyewitness News.
Good afternoon, I'm Victoria Corderi. Murder outside of a post office in Detroit. One person is dead and police believe the gunman, described as a disgruntled postal worker, may still be inside a post office garage with other employees. The drama began shortly after 9 o'clock at the post office in Dearborn, Michigan. Police say the gunman, identified as 45-year-old Larry Jason, walked into the garage and opened fire with 2 guns. One person was killed, 2 others are critically wounded. There are unknown injuries to 2 other employees. According to police, Jason was recently involved in a dispute with the post office.
He had recently gone through a situation where he had applied for a promotion or a job of some kind, and I'm not exactly sure what that was right now. And somebody else was awarded the job. At that time, he filed an equal employment opportunity complaint that somebody else was given improper preference for the job, and that complaint came back against him.
Now, the dispute began about 6 weeks ago, and officials say that although Jason felt he had been mistreated, they told him he could continue to appeal his case. The post office is surrounded at this hour, and police have not had any contact with the gunman. It is the second shooting in a post office in the Detroit area in less than 2 years.
A different crime. A doctor on the Upper East Side is accused of sex crimes against a patient. Now, since the doctor was recently convicted of sexual assault in New Jersey, many are questioning why he was allowed to practice in New York. And the answer is horrifying. Celeste Ford is live with the latest details. Celeste?
Edie, bail for Dr. Dennis Kleinman was set this morning at $50,000, and the doctor's attorney expects Kleinman to go free today. This is one of those cases where the public can only wonder, how does it happen? A doctor who is not allowed to practice in New Jersey is allowed to practice in New York. What a come down for Dennis Kleinman. He's a doctor, a member of a highly esteemed profession. This morning, he is a suspected molester. After a night in jail, he appeared in court seeking bail. In February, at the offices of a podiatrist on the Upper East Side, the anesthesiologist allegedly fondled a 30-year-old woman after he sedated her.
Charged that while he was anesthetizing a patient, she awoke to find him fondling her breast and then rubbing his penis against her hand. When the patient tried to resist, he took her hand and injected her with anesthesia and caused her to go unconscious.
The district attorney's office asked that bail be set at $100,000, noting Kleinman's prior record. In December, the 44-year-old doctor was convicted of raping a woman at Inglewood Hospital after he rendered her unconscious. New Jersey revoked his license, but in a bizarre technicality, the New York State Department of Health says it cannot suspend his license until the sentencing in the New Jersey case, which is a month away. Today, the defense attorney asked that Kleinman be freed on his own recognizance, claiming the current case against him is weak.
Dr. Kleinman was in another doctor's office. There were at all times either the doctor, the other doctor, the podiatrist, or 3 women nurses in and out of the room at all times. The door to the room was never closed.
Dr. Kleinman has another court hearing this afternoon in Bergen County. The prosecutor's office there is trying to revoke his $2,500 bail. During this morning's bail hearing, the assistant district attorney revealed that 2 other women in New Jersey have now come forward saying they were also sexually assaulted by Dr. Dennis Kleinman. And we're live in Lower Manhattan. I'm Celeste Ford, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Parishioners in at least 2 Westchester communities are trying to cope with a shattered trust after a priest is accused of molesting children. Father Edward Papala is accused of sexually abusing children in the Sacred Heart Parish in Goshen. Last night, members of a Croton Falls church, where he also served, discussed the case.
Our society is based on you're innocent until proven guilty, and there's just too many people that are saying that he's guilty, and they're hanging him.
We all love Father Ed, and I feel that he deceived our children, and that's where the anger lies.
The Archdiocese says Father Papala is in a Maryland clinic where he is undergoing evaluation.
Senator Frank Lautenberg of New Jersey is home from the hospital today after a frightening accident in his office last night. The senator apparently tripped on a piece of tile and hit a globe standing on a metal stand there. He cut his chin and neck. An ambulance rushed Lautenberg to a hospital where doctors stitched the wounds. He is expected to be back at work on Capitol Hill this afternoon. Cardinal John O'Connor should be working again Sunday, saying Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Today, he's at St. Vincent's Hospital recovering from prostate surgery. Doctors say yesterday's surgery went off without a hitch, and the Cardinal is doing fine.
All is not well in the ranks of the city's fire department. There is a burning issue among New York's bravest today. The Daily News reports that the city's newest class of 100 firefighters is all male and 96% white. Overall, the fire department is 90% white in a city where 50% of the population is black and Hispanic. Minority leaders within the fire department say it's a disgrace, and they're calling on the city to recruit more minority firefighters. Well, few minorities in the fire department and relatively few voters turned out for Tuesday's school board elections. Officials say just 7% of the eligible voters cast their ballots in the Bronx and Queens. Numbers for the other boroughs are due out later on today. Officials had expected a higher turnout because of the intense fight between conservatives and liberals during the campaign.
The future of Staten Island receives another hearing today as city and state officials give their views on whether Staten Island ought to be allowed to secede from New York City. The debate has been going on for several years in the city and in Albany. Today's hearings will deal with charter revisions that would let Staten Island break away. And the Central Park Reservoir has an uncertain future. Published reports indicate the city has decided to stop pumping drinking water from the reservoir at the end of the summer. The water is no longer needed, and federal environmental officials are said to be concerned about possible contamination of the reservoir. However, it will be kept open for several years in case of an emergency.
A Long Island woman found herself in the middle of an emergency and was on the verge of becoming a crime statistic, but she fought back and today is trying to help police track down her would-be robber. The Hempstead resident had just withdrawn money from a cash machine when she was stopped by a woman who asked for a jump start. And when she pulled over, a man with a gun appeared. She knocked the gun out of his hand and ran him over. The prime suspect in the World Trade Center bombing, Mahmoud Abu Halima, has given authorities new information about alleged terrorist activities in the U.S. According to the New York Post, Abu Halima has also named the real killer of Rabbi Meir Kahane. El Said Noser was acquitted in the murder but is serving time for lesser charges. Authorities have not yet been able to track down the man fingered by Abu Halima.
Another part of the world is on the president's mind today. America is closer to the brink of military action against the Bosnian Serbs this morning. President Clinton is calling for quick and decisive action after the Serb parliament again rejected the UN peace plan. But the president says America will not act alone. Andy Field joins us live from the White House with the very latest. Andy?
Well, Edie, the president's in a tough spot. He promised to do something to end this war in Bosnia, but now he has to convince all of Europe, Congress, and the American people to get involved what could be a very unpopular, open-ended war in Bosnia. There's no final decision yet. The president says he'll say more later today. Late this morning, President Clinton told world trade leaders he will not stand for the continued slaughter in Bosnia.
Their savage and cynical ethnic cleansing offends the world's conscience and our standards of behavior. Therefore, I have this morning directed Secretary Christopher to continue to pursue his consultations with our allies and friends in Europe and Russia on tougher measures which can be taken collectively, not by the United States alone.
U.S. planes have been ready for weeks. They just need the president's okay. The Bosnian Serbs rejected the UN peace plan and asked all the people there to vote on what to do.
It looks to me like another cynical ploy to accomplish delay while they're rolling up additional territory.
The president's staff is making a massive sales pitch to Europe, but Britain and France aren't anxious for more fighting. Each country has scores of peacekeeping ground troops already there who could become targets. The UN plan calls for dividing Bosnia. The Serbs already control 70% of that country. The plan would make them give 1/3 back to the Muslims. That's why the Serbs have said no, and why the president feels he must act.
America has made its position clear and is ready to do its part, but Europe must be willing to act with us.
And at this hour, the Defense Secretary and General Colin Powell are up on Capitol Hill briefing members of Congress, saying what they plan to do next. The latest word out of the Pentagon, however, though, is that it's still too early to send warplanes over Bosnia. We'll have more for you later today. We're live at the White House. I'm Andy Field, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
A prison in South Dakota became a small battleground.
Coming up next in Eyewitness News, what began as a fight between two people quickly got out of hand. And pretty soon, the entire prison was up for grabs.
Also, what the federal government wants you to know about meat and how that could affect what you buy at the store.
And congestive heart failure is a big concern for elderly Americans. We'll find out more about it as we make a house call with Dr. Bob Lanier.
Finally, at 27, I had it done.
More and more adults are doing a thing that kids mostly do.
I have porcelain braces.
They're getting braces on their teeth.
They used to call me Bugs Bunny and stuff.
But what do their friends say?
Most people just say, wow, that's great.
What will it cost? How will it feel?
The first day you wear the retainer, you're going to be drooling.
And will it change your life?
I'm just happy.
Watch Dr. Jay Adlersberg's special report, Never Too Late to Get 'Em Straight, today on Eyewitness News at 5, right here on Channel 7.
Why come to Treasure Island for the best outdoor furniture? For one thing, we guarantee value. We simply will not be undersold. Compare our beautiful quality selection, the world's finest brand names, exquisite fabrics, patterns, textures, vibrant and subtle colors, infinite possibilities. And best of all, we guarantee your satisfaction for as long as you own the furniture. To turn your backyard into a vacation paradise, come to Treasure Island. It's a most unusual store.
Okay, Nose, go check it out. Nose can smell a stinky roach spray a block away.
Not this one. This new Raid Anti-Roach has a country fresh scent.
Smells good.
So it's easier on you. Tough as ever on roaches.
Hey, Nose, who sent flowers?
Who knows?
Uh-oh.
Raid kills bugs dead. Now with a country fresh scent from SC Johnson Wax.
And the Tony Award goes to Bill Finn, music and lyrics, falsetto!
William Finn, James Lapine, falsettos.
Falsettos, second smash year on Broadway at the Golden Theater. Call Telecharge 212-239-6200.
Things are quieting down at South Dakota's maximum security prison. 200 inmates who had staged an overnight uprising are voluntarily returning to their cells. Now, the standoff lasted 12 hours with inmates setting fires, throwing debris out windows, and flying an American flag upside down. 2 guards and an inmate were hurt. It began last night with a fight between a prisoner and a guard in the recreation yard, and there's an indication it might have been planned.
He called me about 20 after 6, and he felt that something was coming down. Because he just said, baby, I'll call you later. He said, whatever happens, he says, remember, I love you.
Inmates have submitted 17 demands, which the prison officials say will not be met.
No end in sight in the battle over the financial survival of Nutrisystem. A federal bankruptcy court judge in Philadelphia will hear arguments today on whether to force the debt-ridden diet company to supply its 857 franchises with its prepackaged meals. Franchise owners say they will begin to fold without the inventory. The company stopped delivering food after the bank seized its cash and bank accounts last week. And if meat is on your diet plan, you might notice the packaging looking a bit different soon. The Agriculture Department is preparing new rules that would require directions to be printed on packaging about how to handle and cook raw meat properly. The new regulations come after several deadly outbreaks of bacteria and food poisoning.
A new discovery may keep people from dying of colon cancer. Researchers have discovered a flawed gene that greatly increases the risk of getting colon cancer. Now, they say that discovery will lead to a blood test to help identify people who carry the flawed gene. If detected early enough, colon cancer is curable.
Well, not a cure, but the prevention of another disease may be on the horizon. A pharmaceutical company has announced its first successful test of a vaccine against Lyme disease. Lyme disease is caused by tick bites, and it's the second fastest growing infectious disease in the U.S. Connaught Laboratories said it expects to market a vaccine in several years. A federal health expert, though, cautions a vaccine may not work on all strains of the disease. Researchers have also pinned down the cause of a stomach bug that can cause a month of diarrhea and nausea and vomiting. That's the good news. Now, the bad news is there is no cure yet or even a way to speed up recovery from it. A researcher quoted in the New England Journal of Medicine says the so-called bug affects people throughout the world, but more study is needed.
In other medical news, if you have swollen feet, they might be a warning sign of a much more serious problem. As we make a house call with Dr. Bob Lanier today, he tells us about congestive heart failure.
The recent passing of Helen Hayes from congestive heart failure sobered many elderly people. It jogged them to be a little bit more serious with their attempts to control this relatively common process.
Gradually, I got to where I could just walk less and less. I do most of the shopping for my family here. And I got to where I couldn't even make it through a supermarket without stopping to rest.
The term congestive heart failure might be better described as congestive heart fatigue. It usually follows a heart attack as the heart's damaged muscle reflects inefficiency moving blood around. The most visible sign of the problem becomes evident, and that's swollen feet. Carlos Smith's deterioration was typical, and so was his response to a new medication designed to strengthen his weakened heart. In combination with a better diet and a steady exercise buildup,
I'm back up to full steam now. I can garden, I can walk.
That's the case with most people with congestive heart fatigue. New medications can make all the difference. I'm Dr. Bob Lanier.
Well, a good dose of sunny weather is a good cure for anything.
That sounds good to me. Coming up next on Eyewitness News, Bill Evans with a look ahead at the weekend weather.
The picture wasn't so serene, though, in Texas, where nature is tearing apart parts of the Panhandle state.
It's been 50 years since the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, since Polish Jews boldly battled the Nazis. In a special report, Eyewitness News anchor Bill Butel takes you back to Poland.
Till communism collapsed, the Polish parliament pretty much did what the communist bosses wanted. Today, the Polish parliament at least tries to do what the people want.
Relive the nightmare of the Nazis, the heroism of the ghetto fighters. Watch Bill Butel in Poland, from uprising to rising up. Tonight on Eyewitness News at 6, right here on Channel 7.
People who make things love wandering through the arts, crafts, needlecrafts, and silk flower departments of Treasure Island. Aisle after aisle of quality, selection, and unbeatable prices, where friendly salespeople are helpful craftspeople. The selection huge, different, and often ours alone. And best of all, we guarantee value. We simply will not be undersold. There are those typical craft stores, and then there's Treasure Island. It's a most unusual store.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the easy way to get a home equity credit line account at rates as low as this, listen to Bud Bash.
We're shooting for a new goal, $100 million in new loans. That means we'll be making loans to a lot of people with good credit, people who've had credit problems, even people who've had trouble getting a loan in the past. Call Personal Mortgage Corporation. When it comes to second mortgages, we approve, and with $100 million to lend, the faster the better.
I feel as though I've tried every diet known to woman.
Hey, me too. So after she tells you about a great plan, I'm going to tell you how to save $22. Watch, and I'll be right back.
I feel as though I've tried every diet known to woman. Nothing worked for me. I simply don't have the time. So I listened when Weight Watchers told me about its personal cuisine plan. It's the easiest way to do Weight Watchers. Just open your microwave. It's pre-planned with incredibly, outrageously delicious foods you get from your Weight Watcher Center, which incidentally is the only place you can buy personal cuisine.
This great-tasting personal cuisine food is just the beginning. Call 1-800-274-8273 now, and we'll send you a coupon for $5 off personal cuisine. You gotta taste this. If you haven't joined Weight Watchers, come to a free trial meeting. Pay just $13 only if you join. Save $17. Remember, call now and you'll also save $5 on personal cuisine. A total savings of $22. I know you're this close to calling, so do it now.
Heavy rains in southeast Texas have left 3 people dead in San Antonio, and much of the area is underwater. Before the rain stopped this morning, more than 7 inches fell. It flooded the downtown district and an entire section of Interstate 35 filled with water, trapping motorists.
You wonder how people can get stuck in a situation like this. Well, you think that you can make it because some other cars did, but I got my car wheels wouldn't go, and then the water started coming in.
Local creeks overflowed their banks and electric power was knocked out in many locations.
That's a record. That 7 inches was a record. That was a one-day rainfall. Their old record was just 2.45,
wow,
2.5.
inches
Smashed it.
Oof.
That's a lot of rain. That's a lot of water at one time. The flooding is caused when you multiply that by about 7 or 8 times is how much 7 inches of rain is when once it hits the surface and begins flooding everywhere. We don't have that problem.
That's not our problem today, thank you.
No, we have beautiful blue skies. We've had some clouds moving in over the last few hours because there's still a lot of moisture out there. But let me tell you, there's a cool, dry air mass moving our way. Here is a wonderful green field in Riverdale. Planted green and they will come. Verdant. Yes, very, very verdant. Can you say that?
Verdant.
Just verdant. Outside, we do have some sunshine mixed in with clouds this hour. This is certainly beautiful, and it is that way across the entire area at this hour. At the noon hour, 75 degrees it is. The humidity is at 57%. Really drying out now. The humidity was at 93% earlier this morning. The barometer has been holding steady at 30.0, and we're watching those winds continue from the west-northwest at 9. That's why things are drying out. Low-pressure system is leaving the area. That's why the barometer had been rising for just a few hours. The precipitation in the last 24 hours, we got 1/4 inch of rain in the city at Central Park. First off, look at these satellite pictures. Here's the cold front now moving out into the Atlantic. Well, 24 hours ago, that cold front was really sitting back in here across western Pennsylvania and just began moving eastward, sliding on out into the Gulf of Mexico. We still have a few low gray clouds across the area. That's really all we have to contend with, and those low gray clouds will hang around for a while, but the sun will break through because more dry air is filling in behind the system. Across the rest of the country, here's how things look this hour. The cloudy skies associated with that low-pressure storm system and the cold front that brought us the rain, now working its way out into the Atlantic. Big-time storm, there it is. There was across Texas creating all that flooding in San Antonio. There the thunderstorms. They've now dissipated because dry air is moving in there as well. But another storm system is working its way through the plains. It's produced 10 inches to 16 inches of snow in the Rockies, rain in the lower elevations. This storm is pretty powerful. It's got gusty winds inside of it. It will remain to the west and spread thunderstorms across the plains once again this afternoon. As a matter of fact, rain is already showing up in this system and firing up across the plains. More thunderstorms and tornadoes are possible again across Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, and also across Iowa today. But this will stay here, and we'll have high pressure that'll give us gorgeous weather. So by 6 o'clock this afternoon, this is what you can expect. Cold front will be approaching our area. A few scattered thunderstorms could be touched off north and west of the city. Widely scattered, not lasting long because it's so humid and the heating could create that. But the winds are coming in now from the northwest. Ahead of the front, they've been out of the southwest, been very warm. Tomorrow, the high pressure will take over. The cold front will move through. Winds will be out of the north, and it'll be much cooler. And Fridays are always cool anyway, so tomorrow will even be much better. 80 with sunshine, warm and humid this afternoon. Tonight, clear and comfy. This will be gorgeous. And look at tomorrow on Friday. Real nice. I like it when you say real nice, like you're from the south. Sunny on Saturday and Sunday. Monday will be sunny and 80 and partly cloudy on Tuesday. 5 days of gorgeous weather.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
You are welcome.
Bad weather we're talking about in Florida. That's what caused a change of plans for the Space Shuttle Columbia. NASA had to reroute the shuttle and have it land at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The Columbia touched down at 10:30 this morning, ending a 10-day mission. The shuttle couldn't land at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida because of low clouds.
Madonna could land in an unusual place. She usually does.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News, the superstar always travels to foreign countries to perform, but now she could find herself far, far away. We'll tell you about that next.
He was a star athlete with a bright future. In one terrifying moment, it all disappeared. Jets defenseman Dennis Byrd was paralyzed, unsure if he would ever walk again. But he was treated with an experimental drug. Now, Eyewitness News asks, what is this new medication? Has it helped him to a nearly miraculous recovery? And can it perform the same miracle for other victims of paralysis? Find out when Eyewitness News anchor Greg Hurst meets some very brave people looking for a shot at Byrd's miracle. A special report tonight at 11, right here on Channel 7.
Losing weight is such a personal process. At Jenny Craig, your counselor focuses on the way you live. What's good for you, not what's good for 150 other people. And when you need a little extra support, just call. She's someone who really cares about you, all the way to your goal weight. It's amazing what that kind of personal commitment can do for your figure.
Join now and pay as you go for just a $9 a week program fee. Jenny's Cuisine is a required additional purchase. Call Jenny Craig.
All over the world, the sisters and mothers and best friends waiting to hear from you can hear from you for a lot less. With the iPlan from AT&T, save 15% on international calls. It's easy. There's no monthly fee. Just call right now and tell us your one international country and start saving to everyone in it every hour of every day. International savings. another part of the iPlan, only from AT&T.
Jell-O-free pudding snacks.
You made me love you. You did, you made me do.
Who but Jell-O could make a fat-free pudding snack taste so great?
You made me love J-E-L-L-O.
This is Jeopardy!
Counties for 100.
What is Illinois?
Television 500.
Seen any exciting television lately? Take the Jeopardy challenge.
Watch Jeopardy tonight at 7, right here on Channel 7.
Former Tonight's Show sidekick Ed McMahon is suing a supermarket tabloid and a columnist for $5 million. And he tops today's People in the News. McMahon filed the lawsuit after a story published in last month's The Star. In that story, the writer that said that McMahon was drinking heavily on a flight to London and stumbled off the plane when it landed. According to a Beijing-owned newspaper, Madonna is set to rock China, but there are strings attached. China's Ministry of Culture says the flamboyant singer can only perform there if she agrees to keep her clothes on. Chinese officials will not stand for any indecent exposure. And it's slow but steady progress for Alan Funt, the man behind Candid Camera. Funt suffered a stroke last month, and California doctors say it'll take some time for him to recover.
And here are some of the stories we're working on for Eyewitness News at 5. The most sacred item in all of Judaism stolen from a synagogue. Now police have a break in that case. Also, charges of danger in city playgrounds, and wait until you hear who's making these accusations. And why more and more adults are getting mouthfuls of metal. Dr. Jay Adlersberg looks at a growing trend of adult orthodontics in our special report. All this and much more at 5 on Eyewitness News. And that's the news for now. I'm Victoria Corderi.
And I'm Edie Tarbox. For Bill Evans and all of us here at Eyewitness News, have a good day.
Join us again for Eyewitness News at 5, 6, and 11, and again tomorrow.
Now on video cassette, a deliciously funny comedy starring Academy Award winners Kathy Bates.
Oh, I was waiting for that space. Face it, lady, we're younger and faster.
And Jessica Tandy.
You get yourself some hormones.
What are you doing? Face it, girls. I'm older and I have more insurance.
How many of them hormones you taking, honey?
Mary Stuart Masterson and Mary Louise Parker. Fried green tomatoes, now just $19.98 from MCA Universal.